So here again, we're on StrataScratch.com and we're looking at an Airbnb interview question classified as hard. And what we want to do essentially with this Airbnb dataset that details the price of a rental property, the property type, the room type, an amenities dictionary, and a whole lot of other attributes of varying data types. What we ultimately want to do is find the minimum, average, and the maximum rental prices for each host's popularity rating. So we want to aggregate on this price column, getting the minimum, average, and maximum, and we want to do that for every host popularity value. Now, this host popularity, the way that we're going to classify host popularity seems to be based off the number of reviews. So if the number of reviews is 0, then we'll give it a host popularity string new. If it's 1 to 5, we'll say that the host popularity is rising, and so on. Okay. We're also told that there is this column called ID right at the beginning of our data set, which refers to the ID of the search. And so if we want to create a host ID, they've recommended to us that we concatenate price, room type, host since, zip code, and number of reviews. So, like concatenating all of these in a string, price, room type, and all the remaining attributes. What we then want to do is output the host popularity, which is any of these values, as well as the aggregates that we've chosen to run on our price column. And so the expected output, what we're expecting is something like this. So for every host popularity value, we want to find the min price, average price, max price, etc. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So the first thing that we might want to do is, based off the number of reviews column, which is here, create a new column that, if 0 reviews, give it the string new, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to create a custom function called maybe categorize reviews. And it will take in a particular value. And let me just define that function there. Cool. And all that we have to do is just classify our reviews according to this criterion. So if the value of the number of reviews is equal to 0, we can simply return new. If it's between 1 to 5, so otherwise if 1 less than or equal to value less than or equal to 5, we can return the string rising. And then what we can say is just run a whole lot of these if-else checks. So 6 less than or equal to val less than or equal to 15. What we can return in this case is trending up. We can run a few more, so we can say elif 16 less than or equal to the passed in value less than or equal to 40. We can then return the value of popular. Otherwise, so if more than 40, I don't think we have to cover the case where number of reviews accidentally got entered in as negative. I think we can just put all the remaining things under else and assume that it is going to always be more than 40. We can say return hot. Okay. So now that we've created this categorize reviews column, we're going to apply this function to every value in this number of reviews series. So we're expecting this one to be classified as rising. We're expecting this one to be categorized as new, etc. So what I can do is we can create this new column, which is referring to the host popularity. So we can say, grab our Airbnb host searches and create a new column called host popularity, which I'll just call host popularity. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our number of reviews series, just like this, and apply our function. So we can use that by selecting our series and running .apply. And essentially with lambda x, for every value x, we want to apply this categorize reviews function on that particular value x. Okay. And if we just take a look at Airbnb host searches, we can check if the new column has been created, which it has. So this one was classified as rising because it fell into this if else, and so on. Okay. What we've then been told to do is concatenate price, room type, host since, zip code, and number of reviews into a new column called host ID. So what we can do is I'll probably just create another function here. So maybe def create host ID column, and we can pass in a particular data set, and with this passed in data set, it will create a new column for us. So we need to concatenate the price and all of these attributes. So what I'm going to say is I'm just going to say price is equal to, I'm going to select the price series, but if I want to do string concatenation, I'm going to have to convert the series to a string series, at least while running this function. So we can get our data set of interest, select the price column, and just make it a string type. So we can do .as type string. We also need to concatenate the room type, which is already string data. So room type is equal to data set, and let's just grab the room type. We don't need to do as type string because it's already a string column. Now, the next thing that we have to do is host since. So that, I believe, is a date column as seen here. So we're going to have to convert that to string. So we can say host since. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take our data set that we pass into the function and select the host since attribute and throw that to a string as well. So as type string. We can also put the zip code, which is integer data, which is going to have to be cast to string as well if we want to concatenate it. So data set, and we'll grab the zip code like that. And because this is an integer, we'll pass that as a string as well to do the concatenation. And then what we want to do is grab the number of reviews, which is integer as well. So num, let's just go n reviews. And we're going to take our data set and pass in that number of reviews, getting it as type string. And all we're going to do now is return, well, we're going to return the price plus the room type plus all of this. And because we are concatenating a whole lot of Pandas series together, we're going to get another Pandas series as our return object. So plus n reviews, plus n reviews. So price, room type, host since, zip code, and reviews. And that's going to return to us a Pandas series. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to create this host ID column. Let me call it host underscore ID. And the way we're going to create this column is just by creating the host ID col. Which data set are we interested in? We're interested in our Airbnb host searches data set. So if I run this, we should get let me actually just look at the data set now that it's been modified. So if I run this, we see that we have a new column called host ID, and the ID was just made by concatenating the attributes discussed. Okay. Right. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we don't have any duplicate records, because if you look here, just with these first two rows, everything is the same, including the host ID, and the only thing that's different is the search ID. So what we're going to do is ultimately just recognize the fact that we have got duplicate records here. And so what we're going to do is drop duplicate host IDs because, host IDs are unique. So what we can do is we can take our Airbnb host searches, dot drop duplicates, and we only want to drop a row if the host ID is duplicated. So what I can say is subset is equal to host ID. And let's just make the change on the existing data set. So I'll set in place equals to true. And if I run Airbnb host searches, let's just get the shape of the data set before we drop the duplicates. And then let's get the shape of the data set after we've dropped the duplicates, like this. Right, so we've dropped the duplicate rows. This is the old shape and this is the new dimensions of the data set. And now we can get started on what the task is trying to get us to do. So for each host popularity, we want to run the following aggregates. So if we take our host searches data set, dot group by, we want to group by our new host popularity column. And we want to get all of these aggregates. So what we can do is dot ag, and as a list, pass in the aggregates that we want to run, which is minimum, which you can actually pass in as min, average, which I think you pass in as mean, we'll double check that, and maximum, like this. So if I run this, what we're now going to get is we're grouping in terms of the host popularity, but we have to investigate the price, getting the minimum, mean, and maximum. So we're going to aggregate on the price column. Right. So this will give us the min, mean, and max. The problem is we don't have this column, so we want to convert it to a data frame so we can reset index. And let me just call this new, or maybe group by. And if we take a look at our group by object, you're going to see that the host popularity, new, rising, trending up, etc., will pop up as a column here because that was your index for your group by object. So there we go. And what we have now is pretty much the expected output, right? Because we've created this new column which has all these values that we're seeing here, and we're running the following aggregates on the price column, right? And so the only thing that we have to do here is rename the columns. So make sure that these columns match. Ours is called min, this one's mean, and this one's max. So what I can say is I can set the columns of this group by data frame to whatever we want. So the first one is going to be host popularity, nothing changes. The second one is going to be min underscore price. The third one will be AVG underscore price. And the fourth one will be max underscore price. And just like this, if we take a look at our group by object one last time, you see that we, according to our new popularity rating, we get the following aggregates which match our table, our expected output exactly. Okay. So let's check this. And you see that all the values, yeah, looks good. So that's how you do it. Basically, we had to create a new column based off the following conditionals, create a host ID column by concatenating all the aforementioned columns, and dropping duplicate host IDs because they're the same. And then once we've done that, with our newly created host popularity column, aggregate on the price, getting the following aggregates. We can then reset index just to make sure that this column shows up in our data set, and then rename the columns according to what the output wanted.